Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 1 based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng has just broken through to the eternal true god realm. He and the sector beast Morosa, who he subjugated after defeating all the sector beasts, have stepped into the passage of reincarnation and are beginning their journey into the origin continent. Cultivation system reminder. Immortal level onwards tilde. Immortal soldier. Immortal general. Immortal king. Universe knight. Universe master. True god. Void true god. Eternal true god. Chaos rulers, overlord. God king, divine king. In the dark and profound reincarnation channel. Luo Feng gazed at the end of the channel where light shone brightly. With his strength at the level of an eternal true god, he could already see the vibrant and vast world ahead. Master, we have finally reached the origin continent, exclaimed the boundary beast Morosa excitedly. Yes, we have finally arrived, Luo Feng replied with a smile. In the primal universe's region, the two of them had long been utterly invincible, and loneliness had been their only companion for too long. Luo Feng looked at Morosa and said solemnly, once we enter the origin continent, you must not reveal any information about boundary beasts. There are countless existences stronger than us on the origin continent. Once exposed, we will have no escape. Master, rest assured, even if I die, I will not reveal any information about boundary beasts. Morosa responded. Luo Feng nodded, both of us have perfect divine bodies, and even in death, a single drop of our blood can regenerate us. However, if the information about boundary beasts is exposed and some terrifying existences on the origin continent target us, they will find every single drop of our blood and completely annihilate us. Morosa nodded in understanding. The technique from one of the three great legacies of the broken Eastern River lineage, the Undying River, could bring someone back to life with just a drop of blood. Both Luo Feng and the boundary beast Morosa possessed perfect divine bodies and had achieved 100,000 times the level of life. Their lives were filled with incredible aspects, as they could isolate their life force, rendering life-locking ineffective, obscure the workings of fate, and even change their forms flawlessly, leaving no flaws to be found. Without needing to cultivate the Undying River, their single strand of hair or a drop of blood could enable them to be reborn again. Origin continent's waters are unfathomably deep, Luo Feng said seriously. Through endless ages, the only boundary beast that has managed to survive is the one in the Qinmu kingdom. All other boundary beasts are dead. Luo Feng was full of anticipation for Origin continent, but he was also well aware of its extreme dangers. Masters were Shanku and the third-generation ancestor of the broken Eastern River lineage were both existences at the level of divine kings, yet the third-generation ancestor had died completely. Masters were Shanku was also forced to flee into the cosmic sea due to being hunted. All other boundary beasts are dead? Morosa was startled. But they are all perfect divine bodies, with extremely strong abilities to preserve their lives. He himself was a boundary beast and was very familiar with the numerous means to preserve life. They are all dead, Luo Feng nodded. Without the constraints of the supreme rules, he had received a vast inheritance of information from the broken Eastern River lineage and the Jin world lineage in the Cycle Channel, and had come to know some secret information about Origin continent. Master Shanku was very afraid that Luo Feng would die before growing up, so he had informed him of all the taboos early on. The lineage of the broken Eastern River was also passed down individually and likewise informed about the various dangers of Origin continent. Boundary beasts naturally master the path of destruction. Once they grow up, they become a catastrophe. Any power on Origin continent that discovers them will eliminate them at the first opportunity, Luo Feng explained. The boundary beast of Qinmu Kingdom, on one hand, was already at its peak when it was exposed, making it difficult to deal with. On the other hand, it is controlled by a master and does not engage in destruction. That's why the various powers of Origin continent tolerate its existence. I too have a master, Morosa hastily said. Luo Feng laughed, having a master, you still need to be strong enough. Otherwise, those ancient beings won't mind crushing you with a flick of their hand. Whether it's you or me, we are still very weak, Luo Feng looked distantly at the outer world. We are just eternal true gods, and should harbor a heart of reverence. Yes, Morosa immediately responded. Under the soul enslavement, Morosa would rather die than disobey Luo Feng's commands. As a boundary beast, devouring and destruction were their favorite activities and also their fastest way to grow. However, in the primal cosmic region, after the boundary beast calamity, under Luo Feng's orders, Morosa had not devoured a single minor universe but instead slowly grew by absorbing chaotic airflows, taking eons to reach the level of an eternal true god. Even as Luo Feng saw the end of the reincarnation passage from afar, the Star Tower still flew for a while before truly arriving. The Star Tower flew out of the reincarnation channel, arriving at a dim and vast land. A vast aura spread and gathered into some mist, making the world hazy and hard to see. The reincarnation channel that had been there on their arrival had disappeared, and Luo Feng immediately retracted the Star Tower, appearing on the vast land with Morosa. At this moment, Luo Feng's hair had grown much longer, a pair of dark golden horns had emerged on his forehead, and his appearance had slightly changed. Morosa still looked like a simple and honest guard, with silver-grey skin, somewhat ugly but very earnest. Although the small universe of the Purple Moon Ancestor was destroyed at that time, he is still alive. He is well aware that when I first became a true god, my small universe had a diameter of 1 billion light-years, Luo Feng murmured quietly. To have such a vast small universe upon first becoming a true god is an unthinkable matter. It could potentially draw the attention of powerful beings. The Purple Moon Ancestor is just a void true god, with little influence and weak words. He should not be able to contact any powerful existences. But still, I must be cautious. Luo Feng knew well that a moment's carelessness could lead to eternal regret. Give no opportunity to the enemy. With his perfect divine body, he changed his aura and appearance so much that even the Purple Moon Ancestor himself would not recognize him if he came in person, let alone other powerful beings from the origin continent who have never seen him. Master, look! Morosa exclaimed in shock as he looked at the night sky. Luo Feng also looked up. The night sky of the origin continent was vast and deep, filled with dazzling stars. Countless stars in the night sky, some large and some small, were incredibly far from the Earth. Some of these exceptionally large stars, despite being separated by who knows how much time and space, still emitted an aura that startled Luo Feng. Beings born in the origin continent usually become true gods, Luo Feng said as he looked up. Their small universes appear in the deepest parts of the night sky, each star representing a small universe. True gods, void true gods, eternal true gods, lords of chaos, divine kings. All of their small universes are in the starry sky, which is why it is so brilliantly lit. Luo Feng pointed at some of the stars in the night sky that had a terrifying aura. The stars with the most terrifying auras are the small universes of the divine kings. Are countless small universes really scattered across the night sky? Morosa watched with envy, thinking that if he could devour them freely, his growth would accelerate immensely. Luo Feng glanced at him. Morosa responded with a naive smile. Looking at these countless small universes, one can understand just how profound the waters of the origin continent are. We are merely two small fish, Luo Feng remarked as he gazed at the starry sky. Should a massive star fall one day, it would also signify the death of a powerful being. Morosa nodded in understanding. By observing the stars in the night sky, one can discern which of the mighty are alive and which are dead. You don't even know which stars correspond to whom, Luo Feng said, no longer observing the night sky, but instead quietly sensing the spatial, temporal, and various law fluctuations of the origin continent. The stability of space is terrifying. Luo Feng stretched out his right hand, a dark vortex emerging in his palm, tearing and causing slight ripples in space. Space is like an endless ocean, and my power can only cause a few ripples. Luo Feng sensed the flow of time here and compared it to his divine presence back in his homeland. Time flows very slowly here. A second here is equivalent to 10,081 seconds in the original universe. Luo Feng looked around, the vast land before him, but he could sense the fluctuations of the laws between heaven and earth. The laws of chaos are very clear to sense. Luo Feng's eyes lit up with excitement. It's so clear. Back in his homeland, it felt like sensing the laws through layers of fog, too vague. In the origin continent, the layers of fog had dissipated, allowing for a view as if from an extremely close distance. This also made comprehending the laws much easier, and the origin continent was more conducive to the birth of powerful beings. If I had come to the origin continent during my true God phase, I would have reached the level of eternal true God much faster, Luo Feng thought. Below the level of a true God, it was suitable to cultivate in the region of the original universe. Above the level of a true God, the origin continent was more appropriate. Even with Luo Feng's talent, he had cultivated in his homeland until the great destruction of the original universe, observing the destructive path of the boundary beast, the great destruction and rebirth of the original universe, before finally comprehending the source of creation and destruction, stepping into the realm of the eternal true God. Of course, it took Luo Feng so long because, apart from the laws in the original universe region being too vague and the efficiency of cultivation being too low, there was another reason: comprehending the source of the laws was extremely difficult. Like the original ancestors, long-time cultivators such as the Eastern Ancestor and Purple Moon Ancestor were only void true gods. Master, where shall we go next? Morosa looked around. Also, after carefully sensing the surroundings, I haven't detected the original ancestor. After breaking through the cycle of reincarnation to reach the origin continent, we could appear anywhere on the continent, Luo Feng explained. Luo Feng carefully looked in all directions, his gaze penetrating the layers of spatial obstacles to see into the distance. On this vast land, there were giant worm-like beasts lurking deep in the earth, divine birds flying high in the night sky, a cautious team of true gods exploring, and a flying boat stealthily moving with its aura concealed. Luo Feng observed, within my range of observation, I've spotted about 1,000 strange beasts, a small team of 12 true gods, and a lone void true god. That's him, a native cultivator I first contacted upon arriving in the origin continent. Luo Feng looked towards the flying boat in the distance. The flying boat moved silently, its presence hidden as it glided through the air. Inside the flying boat stood a tall man with a sharp tail, clad in dark green armor, his eyes emitting a faint glow as he observed the outside world. This time, I nearly lost my life. Mo Yu Hu, piloting the flying boat and concealing its aura, expressed excitement amidst the tension, but the intelligence was accurate, and it ultimately led me to the treasure. I, Mo Yu Hu, have finally made a hefty profit. With this treasure, my 3 children can receive excellent cultivation. Perhaps, is there hope for my eldest, who is the most talented, to apprentice under the eternal true God? Mo Yu Hu harbored this desire. The origin continent was filled with formidable beings, and the hierarchical structure was strict. The relationship between a master and disciple even surpassed familial bonds, as having children could be the result of a momentary passion. However, in the origin continent, if a master takes on a disciple, it generally involves training the disciple in cultivation and even providing resources and arranging their future. The importance of a master to a disciple was self-evident. Even if they cannot apprentice under the eternal true God, all 3 children could at least learn a powerful legacy, Mo Yu Hu thought to himself. His wife had died long ago, leaving behind 3 children who were his greatest concern in this world. In the origin continent, where countless tribes of cultivators converged, although many cultivators hardly cared about the survival of their offspring, Mo Yu Hu cared deeply. As a void true God, he possessed an infinite lifespan, and aside from his own cultivation and growth, the only thing he cared about were his 3 children. Soon, it will only be 10 days until we return to Huyang City, Mo Yu Hu thought. He carefully steered the flying boat, avoiding some perilous areas. Suddenly, Mo Yu Hu felt an irresistible force enveloping him, and the flying boat seemed like a flatboat caught in an ocean whirlpool, plunging into it and shrinking progressively smaller and smaller. This is bad, Mo Yu Hu felt a chill in his heart. The flying boat he controlled was utterly unable to escape the terrifying spatial vortex, only continuing to sink deeper within it. Eventually, the flying boat fell into the deepest part of the spatial vortex, which was in the palm of a gigantic hand. The lines on the palm resembled riverbed gorges. Luo Feng stood motionless, merely controlling the void, which caused the space around the distant flying boat to shrink and gently captured it in his palm. Beside him, boundary beast Morosa also looked on curiously. Master, why are you capturing this flying boat? First, let's ask for directions. Luo Feng observed the beings inside the flying boat. The terrified Mo Yuhu in the flying boat did not dare to hesitate and flew out immediately. As soon as he landed, he knelt down and said with great respect, "Mo Yuhu greets the Supreme Lord." Mo Yuhu was in a state of panic. He had finally obtained a treasure after going through untold hardships. He was afraid that this terrifying being would kill him and take the treasure. He did not want to die. If he died, it would be extremely difficult for his 3 children to survive in Huang City. "Let me ask you, which chaos state is this?" Luo Feng asked. Mo Yuhu was startled when he heard this. "Are you asking for directions?" "Your Majesty," Mo Yuhu hurriedly reported respectfully, "this is the Zhejiang Chaos Prefecture of the Yu Kingdom." "Yu State?" Luo Feng nodded slightly. "There are many forces on the continent of origin. A city, a tribe, or a secret sect may all be a force. But those who are qualified to build a kingdom of God must at least be a God King. The Jin kingdom that Masters Huang had founded only had one God King, himself. The Yu kingdom and Shi kingdom were much stronger. Shi kingdom had 3 God Kings at the time, and the Yu kingdom had 5 God Kings. Shi country and Yu country are neighbors. Fortunately, I came to Yu country after reincarnation." Luo Feng thought, if I had gone to Shi country, it would have been a bit troublesome. I got the 9 Tribulations secret book and the Star Tower because of my Master's Huang. I also got the inheritance of the Jin world and the Lai Yuan technique. Master's kindness is so great. If I become a divine king in the future, I will definitely stand on the side of my master. When I was weak, I naturally had to stay away from the 3 rulers of the Food Kingdom. I remember that Zhejiang Chaos State should have 3 large cities. Luo Feng asked. "Yes." Mo Yuhu said immediately, "Zhejiang Chaos Province is vast and has 3 large cities and 189 ordinary cities. The 3 large cities are Zhejiang City, Huang City, and Shuin City." Luo Feng nodded. "Zhejiang Chaos Province, is it the fief of Chaos Great Sage Zhejiang Hu? In the continent of origin, the eternal true God is at most given a national surname. He is usually a general commanding a region, or a core member governing a city, and is considered the elite of the kingdom of God. The Chaos Lord, on the other hand, would be granted a title of nobility. His status was much higher. He would even be granted a Chaos State as his fief. If they did not get along well, the Chaos Lord would just leave and go to other countries. Zhejiang Hu lives in Zhejiang City." Mo Yuhu said immediately, "So among the 3 big cities, Zhejiang City has the strictest rules. Shuin City often conflicts with some forces because of the mines, and there are the most wars. Huang City is close to the border of Yu State, and the surrounding countries also have branches here. The trade is the most developed, and the small ones also live in Huang City." Luo Feng nodded slightly. "I need a stable environment and suitable resources to practice." Luo Feng thought, there is a Chaos Lord in Zhejiang City. I don't need to practice under his nose. There are too many conflicts in Shuin City. Huang City has developed trade and intelligence which is conducive to purchasing resources. It is suitable for me to live there temporarily. Luo Feng made a decision quickly. When he is weak, he has to be careful and cautious. Luo Feng looked at the respectful Mo Yuhu and said, "I'm going to Huang City. Please help lead the way." "Yes." Mo Yuhu felt relieved and a little excited. "Lead the way? Then I won't kill him. Huang City is in that direction." Mo Yuhu immediately pointed the way. "Let's go." Luo Feng thought, and he and Morosa started flying through space with the Black Jade Tiger. Mo Yuhu only felt that an invisible force was enveloping him, and the space around him was even more distorted. Their 3 figures passed through pieces of space every moment, which was more than 100 times faster than when he used the flying boat. "Your Majesty, we still have to be careful on the road. There are still many dangerous places along the way," Mo Yuhu said hurriedly. "Are there any Chaos-level monsters lurking along the way?" Luo Feng asked calmly. "Of course not. There is only one chaos-level beast, Chaoyong, in the entire Zhejiang chaos state, and it lives deep in Chaoyong Lake. There are no chaos-level beasts in other places. Mo Yuhu said. Luo Feng nodded, then there's nothing to worry about. Luo Feng, along with Morosa and Mo Yuhu, traveled through the void at super high speed in a straight line, heading straight towards Huyang City. If there's no chaos-level beast, there's nothing to worry about? Mo Yuhu's heart trembled when he heard this. Your Majesty, if we don't avoid along the road, we might pass by the nest of the eternal true god-level monster. Mo Yuhu couldn't help but say. Luo Feng just glanced at him and said nothing more. Eternal true god-level beast? I came to the origin continent with nothing. I was waiting for the eternal true god-level beasts to attack me, so I could kill one or two. The scales, armor, bones, blood and essence of those beasts could all be sold for money, and I could also exchange them for the resources I wanted. I do have a few extremely precious items on me, including the God King level weapon, Star Tower, the God King level knife Embryo, Blood Shadow knife, and the eternal true god level mechanical treasure, Killing Wu Yui, but I can't sell them. Luo Feng thought, I am indeed a little poor now. The Killing Wu Yui, as a mechanical treasure, is the most helpful to Luo Feng at this stage. The other two items are of limited help for the time being, but as Luo Feng becomes stronger, the importance of the Star Tower and the Blood Shadow knife will become more and more prominent. According to the information from Master Zhuoshanku, the strange beasts on the origin continent were deliberately released by the God Kings. Luo Feng thought, let the strange beasts multiply and occupy most of the territory of the origin continent. The practitioners of all races slaughtered the strange beasts and collected their body materials to use as cultivation resources. The God King level beasts are usually kept in captivity and cannot be touched by the outside world. Whenever a God King level beast appears in the outside world, it will be quickly captured alive by the group of God Kings. Luo Feng was very clear about this. Strange beasts are a great threat to the weak true gods. But for truly powerful beings, they are just living resources for cultivation. The intelligence of the alien beasts is relatively low, but the most advanced ones can have the strength of a god king by virtue of their bloodline. Luo Feng was also somewhat amazed. Why is their bloodline so powerful? According to the information he had learned, every god king level beast was a treasure of heaven and earth, kept in captivity by truly powerful forces. The blood essence of those God King level beasts was a treasure that even the 3 generations of ancestors and the master, the hermit, could not touch. For the weak, the strange beasts scattered throughout the origin continent are a threat. Luo Feng thought, but when one's strength reaches a certain level, the strange beasts are just prey. These strange beasts have low intelligence. The biggest threat to me in the origin continent is the practitioners of all races. Luo Feng was very clear about this. The geniuses who have returned from the 3,000 original universes generation after generation. There are a huge number of creatures born on the continent of origin, as well as a large number of creatures born in small universes. Naturally, many elites have emerged among these huge number of creatures. After an infinitely long time, there are many hidden talents among the practitioners of all races. Schools like the Du and Dawn lineage are very weak schools in the entire origin continent. Master Zhuoshanku is also at a relatively weak level among the God Kings. Even though the Qianmu Kingdom controls a top-level beast, it is still not considered the most terrifying force in the origin continent. For me, what I need now is to be cautious and lie dormant, making myself stronger. Only then will I be qualified to learn more secrets of the origin continent. Luo Feng was very clear about this, and even the revenge for his master Zhuoshanku could be put aside now. If you haven't become a God King, you have no right to get involved. There are many small universes around the original universe, the largest of which is undoubtedly Luo Feng's small universe, with a diameter of 100 billion light-years. Luo Feng's small universe was absorbing the chaotic airflow at the highest efficiency and transforming it into divine power, which was then passed to Luo Feng's true god heart, allowing Luo Feng's divine body to grow. Luo Feng had become the eternal true god for too short a time, and his divine body had not yet grown to its maximum limit. Inside Luo Feng's small universe. Under a big tree. Luo Feng and Yuan Zhu sat opposite each other, drinking fruit wine. Both of them were just incarnations of divine power. After listening to you, I realized that the other end of the reincarnation channel is actually the origin continent. The original ancestor side. They had both gone through reincarnation, and talking about information about the origin continent with each other was no longer restricted by the supreme rules. Ancestor, do you know which country you are in on the origin continent now? Luo Feng asked. The original ancestor said, after I arrived at the origin continent, I encountered a tribe with tens of thousands of creatures. Almost all the adults in this tribe are true gods, and there is only one void true god in the entire tribe. They were also very friendly to me. I found out that I was in the territory of the ancient country of Yang Feng. The ancient country of Yang Feng? Luo Feng was slightly surprised. What do you think of the ancient country of Yang Feng? Asked the original ancestor. All the countries on the origin continent were founded by god kings. Luo Feng explained, among them, there are only two so-called ancient countries, one is the flame-wind ancient country, and the other is the thunder ancient country. These two ancient countries have the longest history and the most unfathomable heritage. They are recognized as the two strongest countries. Even Master Zhuoshanku does not know when these two kingdoms were established. There is no record of them and there are too many mysteries and unknowns. In addition to the many kingdoms of God, the information left by Master Zhuoshanku and Du and Dong lineage also mentions some secret forces and secret existences. For example, there is a being called Yuan, who completely jumped out of the cage. The Yuan Shu originated from Yuan. Because of jumping out of the cage, Yuan is also respected by those ancient beings. Master Zhuoshanku suspected that the two ancient countries might also have the ability to break free from their cage. In addition to the kingdom of God in the open, there are also some very powerful forces in secret. Luo Feng said, in short, you have to be careful about everything in the origin continent. I know, Luo Feng, where are you now? Asked the original ancestor. I'm in Yu country, a second-rate country. Luo Feng said, we are too far away and cannot meet up for the time being. And since I'm not at the Chaos Overlord level, it's not suitable for me to cross half of the origin continent to meet up. For the eternal true God, crossing half of the origin continent was a life-and-death struggle. The original ancestor nodded. Original ancestor, have you broken through to the inheritance of the eternal true God? Luo Feng asked. No. The original ancestor shook his head and said with emotion, I have come to the origin continent after going through hardships, but I know nothing about the origin continent and I have no inheritance. Everything must be accumulated slowly. Luo Feng nodded. It is indeed not easy for the strong people to break through the cycle of reincarnation and reach the continent of origin. I don't know the information, and most of it has not been passed down. If you are luckier and have survived many life-threatening situations, and passed the test of severing the Du and Dong lineage, as well as the test of your Master Zhuoshanku, you can obtain the inheritance of the two major factions. I have a legacy here. Luo Feng took out a memory stone that he had prepared long ago. The core inheritance of the Duandong lineage is forbidden to be passed on to outsiders. Non-core inheritances are relatively ordinary and not very suitable for the original ancestor. The world of Jin was inherited from one lineage, and the 9 most core parts were forbidden to be passed on to others, but there were no restrictions on the others. But if he wanted to pass it on to the original ancestor, Luo Feng had to learn it himself before he could infuse it into the memory stone. This inheritance is called 9 Nightmares Realm. Yuan Zhu, please see if it is suitable for you. Luo Feng handed the memory stone to Yuan Zhu, but I have only comprehended the first half, and the memory stone also contains the first half. The highest level that can be cultivated is the level of eternal true God. The inheritance leading to the eternal true God? The original ancestor's eyes lit up. Thank you. Yuan Zhu was quite excited. He took the memory stone and started receiving information. After a moment, he opened his eyes and nodded, saying, Luo Feng, this 9 Nightmare Realms is very suitable for me. As long as it suits you. Luo Feng smiled. During the more than 1 month in the reincarnation channel, Luo Feng read through many inheritances of the 2 lines. Among the large number of inheritances that could be passed on, he felt that 9 demon realms was the most suitable for the original ancestor, so he spent time comprehending it and first comprehended the easier upper half. Luo Feng, I won't thank you too much. Yuan Zhu was very excited. This inheritance was too precious to him. It is precisely because he has cultivated for nearly a reincarnation era that the original ancestor knows better that it is too difficult to go from the void true God to the eternal true God. Even among the creatures of the origin continent, who can cultivate with the help of blood, materials from exotic beasts and other resources, only 1 in a billion can become an eternal true God. This is all I can do. Everything depends on you in the ancient country of Yangfeng. Luo Feng also looked at the original ancestor. There were only 2 humans from his hometown who came to the origin continent, himself and the original ancestor. You must also be careful when you are in new state. Yuan Zhu also said. The 2 smiled at each other. At this moment, their real bodies are separated by half of the origin continent and cannot meet up, so they can only fight on their own. This video will end here.